What we're doing tonight is pens. Now, this is all, folks, the 4th of July is over, okay? The next big holiday is Labor Day, and that's going to be here before you know it, okay? So what the theme we're kind of have set up for the Irish Fest this year is pens. And, well, we were at a board meeting, and somebody said, has anybody ever turned any of those stick pens? And I said, well, yeah, I have a little bit. Like, oh, you're doing the demo. So anyway, I'm looking forward to Mr. McReynolds' demonstration because I have never made a slimline pen. I don't know anything about how those press together and what the mandrel thing is for and all that stuff. So I'm really interested in that. But anyway, this is not going to take long. And the hardest part is starting off right up front. You see the overhead camera. First thing you do, first of all, I'm going to go through just about how to make a basic Bic stick pen, and that is Walmart, Staples, any place. You can, okay, I bought these Saturday at Staples. $4.99 plus tax is $5.44. For 60 of these, that's 9 cents a piece. Okay, I think pretty much everybody can afford that. That's really what you need. Is
really full. You're full for it.
Yeah, I can afford it. Let's see. Now, one of the tricky things is you take it out, you take this piece off, and you throw it in there. Then you take this piece and you throw that in there. This is what you want. And 5/32 inch hole, 5 inches long, will give you about 1/4 of an inch extra on there without cutting anything off. Okay? But the trick to this is drilling a hole in it. What you start off with doing, first of all, is check your lathe. Make sure when you have live center and then the dead center in there, those points are exact. I don't mean close or in the neighborhood or the ballpark, really right on. That's going to help you to drill it straight. And this one is, that's why this lathe is out here. But then what I do is just put it in a, where's the knockout bar? Put it in a chuck. I'm sure everybody, of course no one here in this group would want to admit it, but you probably have some flat, boards at home. 1 by anything, okay? 3/4 of an inch thick and whatever. You can solve those up into pen blanks real easy. In fact, I did these about an hour ago, right over there on the rip saw. This is hickory. I go down to Shooties, and in their scrap bin, those 2 big black scrap bins they've got there, or cut-off bins, they give that, say you're with the club, they'll give it to you. I mean, if you a reasonable quantity of it. And, well, what I do, measure to make sure that it's 3/4 of an inch. And then I just have this marking gauge. 1/2 of 3/4 is 3/8. You go like this and this. So I can find the center on both ends. Then I take a high-tech scratch-awl, put a hole right where those cross, or just poke it in there. Makes it real easy for the points to, or the point to go in there, starting off square. Pay attention, this is, like I say, the hardest part of the whole demo, is right here, is drilling a straight hole so it doesn't blow out the side. Because then you get, you can look at some of these pens I have up here. Ooh, don't look at this one. There's a hole in the side. Once the bit starts wandering, there's no going back. So anyway, I had one that I cut a little Band-Aid out of and put it on there. I think my daughter ran off with it, but I can't find it. Anyway, so you do that. Then put the chuck on. And I just put this in here. Excuse me. We'll take care of that right now. Everybody turn your phone off. So I put that in there. Tighten this up. Nice thing about this, any length will work, you know.
Probably somebody out here calling you.
Got to get this really good and tight because this compresses over time. A lot easier to do this on the lathe than it is on a drill press. Believe me. It's a lot easier. Let's see. Okay. The tricks to, that's lined up there. Pop this out. Oh. Where is my Jacob's chuck? Excuse me. If you could, it's back around the corner. I just need a Jacob's chuck and a chuck key. I thought I put that on here. Sorry. But, okay. Make it easy on yourself. When you're starting to do these, oh, is that a number 2? Oh, perfect. Thank you. When you start to do these, find wood that is straight grained, you know, without any knots or anything in it. Don't get something where the grain lines are going diagonal or something, because that just makes it a real challenge for you to try to get the hole drilled straight. And like I say, once the bit starts wandering, take it off and throw it away, because it's no going back. You're not going to try to straighten that out. So don't ask me how I know that. It's happened more than once.
Stick it in the...
There we go. Okay. I have 3 different size drill bits.
I already got him one.
Okay.
Is that the right one?
Yeah, thanks, Don. Appreciate it. I got Mike's here. Shorter the drill bit, the less flex it's going to have. You want ideally to drill 5 inches. I have some, little itty bitty stubby ones here, and this is actually, I don't know where I got these. I got 3 or 4 of them. Left-hand thread, so you turn it, drill it in reverse, and that really helps you get it started, because the first 3/8 to an inch of depth you have pretty well establishes, if it's going to go in straight or not. This is a regular jobber length bit. Then there's aviation bits, and they come in 2 different lengths. But the most common one is a 6-inch one, and then they actually have them a little longer here, which is 8-inch. But I got these at Air Parts right off of Merriam Lane and Lamar. But I've had pretty good luck. In fact, Saturday when I was drilling a bunch of these, let's do the challenging one and drill hickory. Oh, it's in there. I'm going to start off with this and see if we can do it without having to go to a shorter bit and then to the longer bit that can be a real challenge. It's always best to put this in while you're got it off of the lathe so that you know it's in straight. Since this doesn't turn, the wood does. Get it close too fast. Take your time. And the biggest thing is,
Are you in reverse?
we'll see here. Oh, that's forward for me. It's reverse for you, Jim. Keep the flutes clean. Always hang on to the chuck, and then just very slowly, because like I say, this is, and you can see it vibrate. I want to minimize that. But you got to get in there. How many people have got a drill rod or a drill bit that you put a handle on and you use on your lathe when you want to put a hole in depth in something? You know how it finds the center and goes right in? That's what we're going to try to get this to do. We have a little bit of wander there, but that's not bad. And like I say, I always back it out. Toothbrush are real handy. Clean those flutes. This is going to work all right. And again, it depends on what kind of shape that you want to put on it, because if you're going to have a big clunky pen, you know, if it wanders a little bit, that's not a big deal. But if you're going to, you know, put some detail into it and so forth, you want to make sure this is. And then after you get it going pretty good, you can go like this and push it in. It's a little faster. This isn't quite as bad as watching somebody sand, but almost. This will be over in a minute. I don't have a very fancy display. My pen's like Mr. McReynolds does there, but you can see what I've done up here on this towel. Feel free to take a look at those. And there's about 5 1/8 of an inch. Certainly enough for the refill to go in. So then what I do is I just put it in between centers.
Is that a reminder you got set? You should be at the next step by then?
No, this is family. You turn it off, you press and hold the button, right? It won't go off.
You don't push the bottom button, just the top.
Just the top button.
There. Slide to power off. There we go. Maybe now. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. I learned something in this demo. Okay. Here's where the fun begins. Now, this is actually, you can be as creative as you want to be. And understanding there's that 5/32 inch hole running through to, well, not very far. I have got handouts up here too. Kurt Herzog, who you probably know as like the pen guru, past president of AAW and so forth, has written a really a great article, instructional article. Not a lot of fluff to it, but real direct to the point. I've got copies of this up here. Kinko's, for some reason, didn't staple them, but I found a staple back in the office. 4 pages. It's just 2 pages front and back. Feel free to grab a copy of this. Also, it's posted, a link is posted on our website to this article. But he states in here again, this would be nice if somebody found a use for the outsides of these pens because everybody throws them away. So we've got a good 3.5 inches here to play with. But in the meantime, of course, it's not a demo unless you make shavings, right? So we're going to go round. Man, this is hard. They had a whole bunch of hickory down at Shooties, and so this is really hard stuff. The only disadvantage of doing this is that, it can roll off the table on you. If you leave it square, it won't do that as badly. I did some work with arthritis patients in developing adaptive assistive devices for people with arthritis. This was years ago. And the bigger the diameter, the easier it is to hang on to. And so that's just something, if you're making pens for some friends or something, anyone with arthritis, bigger is easier to hang on to. And something that's comfortable to hold in the hand will be used a lot more than something that isn't. So. I will go ahead and finish rounding this off. Like I say, you can get your creative juices going when you are making these. Disadvantage of this kind of pen, of course, is that there's nothing covering the tip, so that you don't want to put it in a pocket or, ladies in a purse or something, because you will get messy. What you can do with it is, in fact, I took a look. There's a number of videos or YouTube videos. Mike Peace made what was it? Refrigerate. He said, you're in your kitchen and you're looking for a pen to make a grocery list or something. You can't find one. Well, he did one of these pens and then took a block of wood, drilled a hole through it so that you stick the pen in there, and then he's got a rare earth magnet on the back side that you can put it on the refrigerator, so there's always a pen there. So anyway, that's something that can be done, as well as if you wanted it on a desk, just get something, turn it around, and drill a hole in it where you can stick the pen in it. You're only limited by your imagination. So, I'm going to make this one so that it won't roll off the table. Oh, time-wise. I'm going to clean this up real quick. And I guess that'll work. What I do here for the end, and again, in Kurt's article, he talks about getting a drill rod and putting it into, a Jacob's chuck that you put in the headstock, and then I guess like a mandrel, where then you just put the tailstock right up to it, but it's being driven by the headstock. And that 5/8 inch or 5/32 inch drill rod that you knurl the end of it so that it has some teeth to it and grabs from the inside. I don't mess with that. I just do this. Like I say, clean this up here. put kind of a point to it. And pretty easy. You can do, like I say, coves and beads, whatever you want to do here. Bring that down a little bit. A little easier to hang on to. Okay. I'm not going to put a lot of detail into this, but I am going to show you some of my favorite gewgaws. Okay, where'd they go? Here we go. People in Texas. These aren't wire burners, they're war burners. That's what they're war burners. So, I'm not going to sand on this, but I love, this is great. Put a couple, 3 of these in here for grip. Try to burn to the same depth, but easy to do. And then there's a dash of color. The top guys know this real well. They do stuff like, yeah. These brush pens are cool. Anyway, you got the idea. I could sand that, but I'm not going to. So. Here's my refill. Okay, so a little big. One thing I did forget is Scotch tape. There's a little piece of Scotch tape around there, like 2 revolutions, tightens that up real well. If it's not that bad, what you can do is actually use a utility knife and score it by just putting some little cuts in there. It spreads that out enough to where it tightens it up and fits well. Now, some people put CA glue on here, just to glue the insert in. I don't do that because my pens are so beautiful that people want to hand them down for generations, What? That's not funny.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
would a metric drill bit work better?
I think, some of these are, Kent, a metric size, but I don't. And again, depending on the manufacturer, I've seen variations in a 5/32 inch bit. There. So, there you have it. Any questions? Okay. You're all just mesmerized by this, I'm sure. So, let me turn it over to the expert here, Professor McReynolds, who's going to show us about the real pens now.
Is this thing on now? Okay. I guess everybody can hear me. Well, pens, I found out I started turning when I first started turning. After about a year, I got tired of turning pens, so I started doing something else. But I still keep the pens around as an old standby. And they're unique. Each one is unique. Wood is always different, as we all know. I go out and I teach kids out at Camp Tomashing out at Junction City how to turn pins. And I let them turn a pin to take home with them, and the design is totally up to them. They get a slimline pin to work with. As long as they don't cut it smaller than the bushing, they'll be fine. And we have seen some really unique pins come out of there. Some of them I couldn't get the clip on. But it's a lot of fun. The pins kind of start out kind of like what Mike has there. Let me come over here where it's a little easier. When you buy a kit, and the kits come in all different sizes, variations. I think I saw on PSI's catalog this morning that they had 375 different kits. That's a lot of kits, guys. You're never going to run out of something to do with all those. But the kits come basically just like the slimline. The slimline is the cheapest that you can get into. They come with all the hardware that you need. They come with the tubes that will be glued inside. They come with the transmission for the extension of the pin and the insert, the nib, the top, the clip, and even a band. So all your hardware is there. First thing you want to do is cut the pen blank, which of course we all know what a pen blank is, into a length about 1/8 of an inch longer than your bushings. And then at that point, you can take and glue in the bushings. I've got this one already drilled so that the bushing will go in, slides in fairly easily. And I use CA glue. Some guys use 2-part epoxy. Either way, I suggest leaving it set overnight. I'll do up a bunch of them and then leave them set overnight. And then the next day I'll come back and do what they call trimming, where you trim the ends. And this is the trimmer. It comes with different size rods for different size bushings. This one here is set up for the 7mm. And what you're doing is trying to cut this down to the just to the end. You just want to catch the brass. When it starts to turn bright, you quit right there. Otherwise, you'll just keep going and you'll have a little ridge there. But you just want to quit right at the edge. The trimmer is probably, I don't know, probably $15, $16, and it comes in with different sizes already in the kit, maybe as high as 20. Once you get that completed, you'll take and mount it on a mandrel. And the mandrel, this one here, I like these because it is adjustable. You just loosen the ferrule, and you can extend this rod in and out depending upon the size of the length of the pin. But you still use a bushing. The bushings are set up so that when it comes in, like so, and then you'll screw it down. And I like these because I can adjust how tight I want it. They make what they call a Mandrel Saver, and I tried one of those at the woodworking show that was supplied up there, and I didn't like it that well. I had to put too much pressure on it in order to be able to hold the pen blank. But I like this, and all you do with the tailstock is just bring it up and meet it and just kind of snug it. You don't want to get it real tight because all you're going to do is bend your rod, and you want that rod to stay perfectly straight. This is the first mandrel I ever bought. No, second mandrel. The first one was a number 1 Morris taper. And the As long as you don't get radical with it, it'll last a long time. Now, I'm sorry? You can double them up. I've got this one shortened up. I did a demonstration last month for Independence where I was demonstrating CA glue, and I just did one of them. And it worked out pretty well that way. But this will get it set up, and like you say, you can put a bushing in between them and put the second one on, and then it makes it easier to keep the centers located. When I cut them, I always make a mark, especially if it's a very figured wood that I want the figure to stay straight. I'll take and put a mark right across where I cut it, where the two pieces come together. That way I know where everything joins up, and it makes it a lot easier to match up later. There'll be a little bit of difference because of the thickness that you cut off, and then also the trimming. But usually I'll take and when I'm drilling it, I'll drill it from the center out both ways. That way I know that center is going to be right where it comes together. The next thing I'll do is I'll turn it down to the right size and sand it and polish it. And when I get done, of course this one's done in CA glue, it'll look something like this. I don't know if I can get you there or not. It'll look something like that. So that's ready for pieces to be put into. Now usually at this point I'll take and put a piece of sandpaper on a flat surface, 220, 180, something like that. And I'll take and rub the ends around. That way if it did get overcut, that still flushes the brass out to the wood and flattens up that ends. So from this point, let me pass this around. This is one that I used. It has high-speed friction polish on one side and CA glue on the other, and you can kind of make up your mind as to which one you kind of like. Once I get to this point, then it's time to start coming together. So I'll take and pull everything back apart here. And then what I use, I made these. Some guys like a pen press, but I try to do it with as little tools as possible. So what I do is I'll use one of these. It's got a number 2 that I cut into it, and this plexiglass here makes a good cushion for it. From this point, I can take my pieces, and I'm just going to do the bottom here just to kind of give you an idea. The top is real easy. You'll start out with the nib, whichever side you're going to write from, that's the side you'll push into it. Can you hear me? Am I getting any better? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, from here, you want to be careful when you're pushing it together. I've got a little indentation there to kind of help. Reason being, get a little wax on her. Reason being, if it gets started in there crooked, it can actually work to the side and crack your wood or your plastic or whatever you're pressing into. Now the nib's on. That's the lower part. Now we're going to put what they call the transmission in. You want to be careful with it also. You can still crack the wood with it. So I'll push it in, and you'll notice that there's a line here. I don't know if you can see that from above, but there's a little line here just above the brass. I don't want to quite go that far because sometimes when these are trimmed on the end, sometimes you cut into the brass, so it won't be quite as long as what it should be. So I'll take it in a ways. Then I'll screw my refill in and see how it sets. Just barely coming out the end, so I can go in a little farther. It's a whole lot easier to go in than it is to come out, believe me. You can, but it's a little more difficult. I'm sorry?
The little plastic piece that screws on the top, you can pull it up if you get it too far.
Oh, yeah. Screw it in. Sticks out well, retracts well. That's good enough right there. From there, you put the band on, and then the top piece, you do the same thing too, only you'll use the clip. The hardest part to this whole thing is getting these things out of the little plastic packages. Make sure it's pointed and angled down a little bit so that you've got a clip. I had one the other day, one of the guys pushed together and it was pulled out, so we had to figure out a way to do it without pulling it apart. And then you'll take and just press it into the end like so. Same thing with the bottom. And then the top just slides on, and that's how you adjust it. And you can adjust that so that your grain lines up and everything looks good on your pen. However you want it to look, whether it looks right closed or open. But like I say, the mandrel is the main thing that you'll need. It comes in handier in pockets on a shirt. I do everything with that mandrel, from Christmas ornaments to pins to all kinds of different things. And the trimmer comes in handy, but there's all kinds of different trimmers. I think I gave $28 for the mandrel, but it was well worth it, believe me. Any questions?
How much are pen presses if you'd rather go down?
A pen press is about $60. I was looking at a pen press, and I had a small benchtop drill press that I'd bought at Harbor Freight for $45. That was cheaper than that, so I went ahead and kept it and made it a print press.
That's what I use. I made a bit to go on the top, and I put a wooden plate that goes on my metal piece. That's how I press all my pins together. It's on my drill press.
Sure. I like this system because it keeps everything all centrally located. I don't have to run across the shop to do some little thing or anything. Any other questions?
Hey, Mike, did you talk about finishes at all? I thought you were going to demonstrate your super glue finish.
I did that last week, but or last month, I should say. That take a little more time than what I've got here.
Mike,
Yes.
the Independence Club just posted that demo was available online.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
I thought you were doing this here too, so I didn't go to that.
In fact, I just watched that this morning, and boy, I did a better job than I thought I did. Yeah, go to Independence Woodturners on YouTube. Just type in Independence Woodturners, and that video will come up. I get into a lot of different things with the CA glue, what it is, and the hazards to it, and all that. So probably best to go and see it there, so that you get a more general view of what CA can do and what it can do to you. Anything else? No? All right. Who's up next?
Okay, now we have our third demonstrator. Preparing for his demo, trying to think. If we, like I say, help yourself to handouts, and if you want to take some of these pens home, play with, feel free to grab some of this wood that I cut, some of these, to make pens for the Irish Fest. So, help yourself. Oh yeah, I'll leave one that's back in the shop, but if you find, like I say, there's a place called Air Parts. It's right down here off of Merriam Lane and Lamar. It's an old A&P grocery store. It's a brick building.
It's been there for 30 years. 30 years, I got it.
Yeah, you're good. Mom and pop shop. They just sell a lot of parts for make your own airplane and ultralights and that kind of stuff and everything. But they've got all kinds of tools and, any aluminum or stainless you need or anything like that, they've got it there. Again, this is an add-on for the Irish Fest. So this is important for Irish Fest.
So Effie did the artwork and did the CNC, and so what it says is Kansas City. I use black spray paint. It cost me $1 at Walmart. And what we're looking to do is to make something fairly quick and easy to sell at the Renaissance or the Irish Fest. And so we got other ideas too, like you could do it on 2 centers and make it football shaped. You could cut baseball, what do you call that, stitches on it. And so we're looking for something quick and easy to make, to sell. And so I'm going to make a platter. And the way Effie did it is he can make this any size as he wants. So you could make platters, you could make what do you call them? Coasters, there we go. And I think Rick's, I think your wall button would work.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. And so we got a problem here. This is an experiment, by the way. We got a problem, and then we cut this real deep. And so can we keep it from breaking, breaking the little parts inside the design? We don't know. We're going to give it a try, see what happens. I just cut a little tenon. I didn't, normally when I do a platter, I use a screw chuck, but this has stuff cut in it so you can't run a screw into it. And so from here it's normal. What? And so I think the first thing I'll do is put the mortise on the back here. This had a hole in it, right in the middle, and so I glued a matchstick in it. It's cross-grain wood, so you can't come in and cut it like that, right? So the idea is, if this idea works, we're going to make 20 or 30 or 40 of them and bring them for at the next meeting for people to make for the Irish Fest. This is poplar, and it probably would be better to make it, if we're going to make one for real and try to sell them, we probably want to make something out of a little tougher wood. But this is good stuff to practice on. Sorry. What? How do you do that at home? I don't know. I don't have to practice. Oh. Do it the other way first, you think? I don't know. It's pretty soft. What I'm trying to do is make the bottom flat. I think we cut it 3/8 of an inch deep. Is that right? No? If you're going to sand it, now would be the time. I lied. There. Now, the only thing that's really important here, other than not hurting anybody, is making certain the internal portion is the right size. I think this is more wall buttonish than platter sized. That was it. Yeah. Oh, I don't think there's any more to do, really. What? Gugas? I guess we can put some between the words in the Irish. Gugas, huh? How's that? So, you see, yeah, here's the real danger. Can you see right here? I popped that little piece out. I don't know if you heard it when it went. And so, yeah, but you see, the question is this: do we route this first and then turn it? Okay, you just saw the problem. Or do you turn it and then do each one of them on the CNC? And so we're trying to figure out a good way to do it. Make a difference. May not make enough of a difference. I think we need to make it bigger. Before you turned it? So it'd be down in the letters? If you cut it all the way through, or even if you, well, I mean, you wouldn't have to cut it all the way through, but you could put plastic in it instead of black paint. Yeah, I think he's right, yeah. It's a good idea. And you can color it, you can put glitter in it. Green epoxy, yeah. And so this is what we're thinking about. This is like more than just one project's worth, because we can do it in football season, right? If we try to sell them then you make platters shaped like footballs. When it comes time for basketball or baseball, you can put that stuff on there. I don't think you can actually put like the Arrow or the Chiefs label or logo on there, but yeah. That's all that's it. So did we say that? We're going to bring 30 or 40 of them for you guys to turn, right? Okay. Okay. That's it, yeah.
Any questions for Anthony? Okay, nobody's got questions tonight.
No.
Easy. All right. It is announcement time.